Okay, so question 3 on paper 1 is now moving away from Western Front, so we can do away with the sources that we were using, and it goes into our medicine through time topic. So I've highlighted a couple of things on here. This is just a 4 mark question. I've highlighted a couple of things that we need to know for this one. The first one, and it is in bold, but I've highlighted it anyway because I've seen lots of people try and do like 2, 3, 4 times the amount that's actually required on this one. So it's important to know that it is just one way. We just focus on one way. And what it's going to ask you to do is compare or contrast two different time periods. So this question is explain one way in which the roles of the physician in the medieval period was similar to the role of the doctor in the NHS in the modern period. I've highlighted this word because sometimes this one will be different. And so that obviously impacts what we're looking at. So I just need you to read this one really, really closely. So the example here is the similarity. As I said, sometimes it could be explained one way, it was different. So, beliefs in the causes of illness were different in the modern period compared to the medieval period or something like that. So we're just going to have to change our language if your one this summer is different. This question, as I said, is similar. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my first time period, the physician in the medieval period, and I'm simply going to drop a bit of knowledge about what I know about what a physician did in the medieval period. So in the medieval period, a physician would use a limited understanding of illness to diagnose a patient. That's their job, to diagnose. This was commonly completed through looking at urine to see which humour was out of balance. You remember those images of physicians holding up urine, looking at the light, smelling it, tasting it, and saying, "Oh, you got too much yellow bile," etc. That was a diagnosis. So I get marks for that. I get 2 marks for that, in fact, because all I've done is basically say, this is what happened. Here's why I know this. So then here, I go into my second bit. You notice the word here, simile. So obviously, I'm doing this because the question is about similar. If this was a question about differences, I might use a phrase like in contrast to show that it is different. But here I'm looking for similarities. So similarly, a doctor in the NHS will use modern technology in addition to also diagnose illness after looking at symptoms. So they are doing the same thing. Yeah, they got modern technology, but they're doing the same thing, right? They are also looking at symptoms to diagnose, just like a medieval physician is. So this is another 2 marks here. Now, I always recommend putting this final line, just because if you have done something slightly weird and it's not like 100% what you want to say in terms of similarities or differences, this final line just ties it all together. It's just a fail-safe that doesn't take very long at all. So I always just put at the end, therefore the similarity, or indeed the difference if that's the question, therefore the similarity is both medieval physicians and modern doctors would diagnose patients' illness. As I said, it just ties it together to make sure that something weird hasn't happened with your writing that means it's a little bit ambiguous. So I really recommend that, again, if you have time. This is only 4 marks. You shouldn't be spending any more than 5 minutes on it in the end.